Hello everyone, welcome to Dice Mayhem. My name is Stephen, and today we are going to be looking at the keyword, which is experience. Now, this is probably what you all know of experience if you've recently started playing. This is from the latest Tomb of Annihilation set, which is part of the Dungeons & Dragons Dice Masters franchise. As you can see, all we have is the keyword sitting at the top, just experience. And then we've got some normal character effect text. So because this isn't extremely clear as to what it means, because I mean just having one word doesn't do any favours, so I went to look in some other sets to see if I could find a better example of experience being explained, and I managed to find this, which is the Dwarf Cleric from the very first Dungeons and Dragons Dice Master set, the Battle for Faerun. And as you can see, after experience we've got some brackets, which gives us a little bit more information. So, once per turn, gain a +1 attack, 1 defense token when you knock out a monster. Now, this is okay, but it still doesn't explain a lot about the keyword. So, first thing I want to do is describe what is a monster. So, if you look at the Dwarf Cleric card, we've got its 3 shield cost. Under the 3 there's a little grey banner. That's where we're going to look on the next card to see the monster affiliation. So there it is, it's a little black banner with what looks like a red scratch mark in it. Any card that has that symbol on it is a monster. And that's all there is to it really. One other thing I'll touch on very quickly whilst I'm here is also what is an adventurer. Now let's go back to that previous card. So an adventurer, according to the website, requires the card to have the experience effect. So you can have dwarf clerics without experience, they're not adventurers. If they've got experience, they are adventurers. So as we were saying, this experience definition is somewhat there, but it's still not fully. So what I've done, I've gone to the WizKids website where they've got a keyword page for the Dice Masters, and what we have is this, which is a lovely chunk of text. So I'll read it out to you and we'll go through it as we talk. So while a character die is with experience is active, if you KO'd an opposing monster, as noted by the little banner we saw earlier, during your turn, place 1 experience token on this character's die's card at the end of your turn. Each experience token provides each of this card's dice with +1 attack and 1 defense at each level. A card can only gain 1 experience token per turn, unless otherwise stated. Multiple cards can gain an experience token during the same turn. An opposing player KOing their own monster will not generate experience tokens. So, as you can see, there's quite a bit to go through, so what I will do is I'll do some real world examples here on my mat. One thing I will say is the only way to get rid of experience tokens from cards is by using a card that has an effect which specifically states it removes experience tokens. So something like this ghost. When fielded, remove half the experience tokens rounded down from a target adventure card. So any card with experience, as we said before. Just thought I'd bring that one up. Right, on to the practical examples. Okay, so for the sake of example, I will be using this Dragonborn sorcerer who has the experience, so therefore he is an adventurer, and I'll have 2 dice for him. And I will also be using the elf druid here, who once again also has experience. And finally, as my opposing card, I will have a Chewinga, which has the swarm keyword, which I covered in a previous video, but it also has the monster banner, thus making it legal for the keyword to be used against. Okay, so we'll just take that down. So I'm going to use, let's have both the Dragonborn Sorcerers and the Elf Druid in the field. And we will use this line that runs across here as my opponent's field zone, so we'll put those two Chewingas in there. Now, for the first example, KOing an opposing monster in my turn. So, simply put, if I am to KO one of these, I could do it through using card effects or anything. The experience will trigger, but what I'll do, for sake of example, is I'll attack with this Dragonborn Sorcerer. This Chewinga will block. The Dragonborn Sorcerer's got high enough defense that it will live, and the Chewinga will die. So it'll go into my opponent's KO and prep area. Okay, so now at the end of the turn, these dice which I've had sat on the cards, that will read 1, and that will read 1. I'm just using these dice to keep track of how many tokens each card has on it, so 1 apiece. Now, straight away, because my turn's ended, these 3 all have +1 attack and 1 defense on the stat lines. So an easy way to remember how effect triggers is something that my friend James Ballor actually came up with. The characters need to witness the opposing monster getting KO'd, so they need to be active when the monster is KO'd, and they also need to live to tell the tale. So at the end of the turn, they also need to be active. It's a really good little way that I think of remembering what to do. So in this case, the Dragonborn Sorcerer knocked out the monster. Dragonborn Sorcerer was active, so he witnessed it, and so was the Elf Druid, so they both got their token. If you were to blank a card with experience, so say you didn't like what this Elf Druid was doing, so you use Shriek to get rid of her card text, the experience tokens remain because they are their own entity. The only way to remove an experience token is by using a card with an effect like what I showed you earlier with the Ghost. Okay, on to the next example. What happens if I attack, they block, and the 2 dice were to knock each other out? So let's pretend that Shriek is powerful enough to do that. That goes into my prep area, KO area. Well, so let's go to our little moniker. So they saw the monster getting KO'd. Well, both dice saw the monster getting KO'd, because Elf Druid was the one doing it. However, the only one living to tell the tale is the Dragonborn Sorcerer, so he gets a token. Also note, he only gets 1 token, even though there are 2 copies of him out. Just imagine that each die is an instance of the character. So it's the same character, just 2 instances of him, if that makes sense. He can only gain 1 token per turn unless he's got an effect which states otherwise. There are a couple cards out there, so worth keeping an eye out for them. So that's pretty self-explanatory, I think. Okay, so what would happen if I had, say, an effect which let me blow away one of these Chewingas in my opponent's turn? Since it's in my opponent's turn, experience can only activate in my turn. Therefore, no tokens will be given to my characters. Even though they're active and they've witnessed the monster getting KO'd and they've lived to tell the tale, nope, no token. What happens if I said I had a Chewinga in my turn and I somehow knocked it out? Well, once again, even though it was in my turn, it is my Chewinga, not my opponent's Chewinga. It has to be an opposing monster. It can't be any of your monsters. So, in this situation, no tokens are granted. And the same applies if I was to knock out my own monster in my opponent's turn. Once again, that's not valid for triggering experience. So one thing I will do just before I go is I will put some links into the video description of WizKid rulings, which do a really good job of explaining this effect and what I've been using to base my explanation video off. Also, if you like what you see, please subscribe, like, and click the bell so YouTube knows that we're putting something of quality out. If I've made any mistakes, please, by all means, call me out in the comments, and I will either leave a correction on the video or in the actual video information. If you want to drop by and just say hello in the comments, then say hello in the comments. That's fine. And if you've got any questions, you can put them in the comments, and I will do my best to try and explain again in those comments. Thank you very much for watching, and see you next time with another keyword. Bye.